Apologies for. Thank you for letting us set up technically, everybody, this morning, and a very warm welcome to our 2022 Women in Engineering and Information Technology Awards with the University of Technology, Sydney. I have had a chance to introduce myself, of course, to many of you, but I'm Dr. Timmerie Green, and I'm currently president of our Zonta Club of Sydney Breakfast. First, we would like to acknowledge and pay our respects to the traditional owners of the land on which we are all dialing in from this morning. For those of you in the Sydney area, we recognize the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. And personally, I'm dialing in from the Yuin country on the South Coast. We pay our respects to elders, both past and present, and extend our respects to any guests who identify as Indigenous Australians who are present in this morning's meeting. I'd also like to say a welcome to the faculty of UTS and, of course, our finalists who are joining us from UTS this morning. Our guest speaker, Amani ABUSAFIA, and also members of our Zonta Club of Sydney Breakfast, and any fellow Zontans who have dialed in today, and I'll continue to watch the participants list, but I'm very happy for you all to join us this morning. I've shared this photo because in all of this, these COVID times, this was the first opportunity for some of our club members to get together. And what we're holding there is one of our breast care cushions that we stuff and sew for St. Vincent's Private Hospital to support women following their mastectomies following breast cancer. The cushions provide relief as well as create a wonderful community of support as they're going through the post-op phase. So this was our chance to get together, and we certainly hope that we will be able to have our Women in Engineering and IT meetings in the future in person as well, but very happy to have everyone here on the line. And if I may, I'd like to introduce and hand over to Olivia Sarah-Lelacheur, who is the founder of our club and will tell you a little bit more about Zonta International.
Thanks, Timmerie. So for those of you who are not familiar with Zonta International, it is a leading global organisation of professionals empowering women through service and advocacy. We have more than 28,000 members in 1,200 clubs across 61 countries. So we are quite a diverse group of very passionate men and women, actually, who are working to improve the legal, educational, health and professional status of women and girls in many parts of the world. We've been doing it for over 100 years, so we're very proud of that, but also frustrating that there's still work for us to do, a lot of work for us to do. And our work in Zonta commenced when a small group of women came together in Buffalo in upstate New York with a vision to help women realise greater equality while using their individual and their collective expertise in service to their community. One of the aspects of our international work that might interest you today is our award and scholarship programs. We award up to 35 fellowships worth $10,000 each to women who are pursuing PhD or doctoral degrees in aerospace engineering and space sciences, and that's in recognition of the famous aviatrix Amelia Earhart. We also help women who are pursuing undergraduate and master's degrees in business management. We have 32 scholarships of US $2,000 each and an additional 6 scholarships of US $8,000 each, and that's every year, the Jane M. Klausman Award. And we're also encouraging women to pursue education and career opportunities, and particularly leadership roles in technology. We started this particular award back in 2019. There are 30 district or regional scholarships of US $2,000 each and 6 international scholarships of US $8,000 each. And our guest speaker this morning is the recipient of one such award for women in IT. So we're very proud to have her here with us this morning. At our own local level, the Zonta Club of Sydney Breakfast, we're also supporting women's education through scholarships. And of course, today we are celebrating the Women in Engineering and IT program, a scholarship that we've supported at the University of Technology, Sydney, for 20 years. I don't know that we really thought when we started out with this that we would be at this point today, but we're very, very proud of the contribution that we've made and the students that we've supported over that time, and certainly looking forward to continuing that partnership for as long as we're needed to support women wanting to study in this area. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of who we are and what we do. So I'm going to hand back over to 𝗃𝗺𝗍 now to continue on and talk about the awards. Thanks, 𝗃𝗺𝗍.
Thank you so much, Olivia. The Women in Engineering and IT program is a long-standing initiative at UTS, originally designed to address the low rate of female participation in these fields. The program's activities promote, connection and engagement for female students, as well as encouraging networking and collaboration across the engineering and IT profession. And the program also seeks to address the attitudes and behaviors that may undermine a safe and truly rewarding learning, research, and working environment for both students and staff. So our Zonta Club of Sydney Breakfast first partnered with UTS on its Women in Engineering Award back in 2002. And we have done so every year. And as Olivia said, we're just incredibly excited and thrilled and honored to be able to celebrate the 20th anniversary of this award this morning. And this award to us, what it means is that it means that we're encouraging young women to study engineering and IT and pursue their passion. As Olivia has alluded to, the winner does receive a cash prize and of course recognition within Zonta as well as the UTS. And at this morning's meeting, we will be presenting the winner with her award and acknowledging her amazing work. I'd like to take a moment now to hand back to Olivia because she is going to introduce our guest speaker. Thanks, Olivia.
Thanks, 𝗃𝗺𝗍.
Actually, sorry, should I point out these photos? These are from the previous years, by the way. Sorry. So obviously last year we were virtual, so you can see the screenshot here. We're going to get another one of those. And in the top left, that was the year we held the event at the Shangri-La. The top right is we were holding the event at Westpac headquarters, and the bottom right, I believe we were at CBA's headquarters. Yeah, in Darling Harbour. Anyway, I just wanted to point out where those are from the recent years. Thanks, Olivia. Over to you.
Great. Thanks, 𝗃𝗺𝗍. So it's my absolute pleasure this morning to formally introduce Amani, who is our guest speaker this morning. She's a PhD candidate at the University of Sydney. She received her Bachelor of Science degree in 2009 and a Masters of Science degree in Computer Science in 2013 from the University of Sharjah in the UAE. She's the current 2022 to 2023 recipient of the Research Training Program Stipend Scholarship by the Australian Government. She is also the recipient of the Postgraduate Research Scholarship in the Internet of Things Service Management from the University of Sydney 2019 to 2022. And as I've mentioned, she is the winner of one of our Zonta International Women in Technology Awards from 2021. So her professional career started as a lecturer at the Department of Computer Science at the University of Sharjah for 6 years. She also worked as a research scientist in the Data Mining and Multimedia Research Group at that same university. Her research interests include wireless sensor networks, data mining and distributed systems. So please join me in welcoming Amani to talk about her journey, her career and where she's at today. So over to you, Amani.
Hi, good morning. First of all, thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here. I just have a simple presentation with a lot of pictures to share with you. I don't know if I can share. Let me know if you can see my presentation.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay. So hello everybody. My name is Amani. I'm from University of Sharjah of Sydney. I was from University of Sharjah, but I'm a PhD student, and I'm mainly here to share my personal story, to tell you, hopefully to inspire you, and maybe to have a little chance to give you a simple idea about my work, my current research. So I'll start with my personal story, and it all starts that I am from Palestine. So mainly particularly from Gaza Strip. And I usually like to start my story by talking actually about my grandfather and my mother, because I do believe that my mother is the first person who actually impacted me. So my grandfather actually, if you know Palestine, you know that it has been and still is going in a war and in poor conditions. My grandfather is actually did not know how to write or to read, but however, and because of the poor conditions, he usually, what families do is that they get their kids out of school. So he was not able to read and to write. However, he was very passionate about science. And then my mom is actually the first female in my family who actually pursued a bachelor degree. So when she finished her high school, she wanted to do math. I don't think my mother also thought about what is for a female and not. So she just decided that she wants to do math. And the interesting part is that at the time that she did her studies, there were no universities in Gaza. So that in order for her to pursue her study, she had to travel actually to Egypt. And traveling alone as a female, it was not really common in my culture. So, however, she was lucky to have supportive parents who actually let her to do that. And it was quite challenging because at that time there were no Zoom calls or ways to reach or emails. All what they had is actually to write an email, write a letter, and then wait a month so that it will be received by her parents. So it was quite challenging. However, she did it. And then once she finished, both my parents decided that they want to go to another country to have a better life. And this is where I was born and raised in UAE. So I was born and raised in UAE. I studied actually in public schools, whereas the common language is Arabic. So everything is taught in Arabic, math, physics, everything else. And I was firstly introduced with computers. I have actually seen that kind of old computers when I think I was in grade 4. And I remember when I looked at these machines, I was like, and if you can see, even the conditions, everything was in Arabic. At that time, I was like thinking, these are stupid machines. Who's going to work on that? I'll never work on it. Little did I know I'm going to do a PhD actually in computer science. So when I finished high school, I wanted to choose my major. I did not know, actually, at that time, I knew that I liked math. And again, I was lucky to have parents who never told me what should I study and should not, and what's appropriate for a female and not. So all that, they told me just choose something that you like. And at that time, also in UAE, there was no math degree. So I said, okay, what is the closest to math? So that's engineering. So I picked engineering, again, not knowing much about it. But then in engineering, this is my university, University of Sharjah. In engineering, actually, you have to take a course for programming. So I did that course. I actually quite enjoyed it. And I was like, well, you know what? I'm changing to computer science. I really never had the idea of, oh, this is going to be hard, suitable or not. All I wanted to do is just something that I enjoy. So I went, participated in programming contests, sometimes won, many times lost. and that was quite enjoyable learning experience. Now I finished my bachelor. I thought I would just find a company, do some work, and that's it. And then my supervisor told me, you know what, Amani, you are good. Why don't you consider master? So I was like, okay, master, let's try it. I don't know, let's do it. So I got a scholarship, did my master, was lucky enough to be hired by my university because it's quite competitive after a master to get hired as a lecturer. So I started teaching, supervising students, going through programming contests as a mentor. I did have an easy life, good life, but I think there's, in terms of knowledge and innovation, there's some education that I need to get. And I don't think I would find it in the Middle East at that time. So I told myself, if I'll ever do a PhD, I have to do it somewhere outside, maybe in the West, United States, I don't know. Anyway, life was easy. I did not know what to do next. I was like, okay, what next? Do I do a PhD? Do I start family? I'm not really sure. But then there's a quote that I really love by Maya Angelou. I'm assuming you know her, and she says, do the best until you know better, and when you know better, do better. So to me, I was telling myself, I'm just going to be the best teacher, keep track on research on the side as a side job, just until I know what I want and whether if I need to do a PhD or not. And then again, my supervisor, who actually told me about the master, told me, quit wasting your life, you should do a PhD, just apply. And he actually found like the position or the scholarship in the University of Sydney. He told me apply. I thought he's crazy. I was like, okay, no, I'm gonna apply. I'll be rejected and I'll tell him, well, they rejected me, that's it. I applied and fortunately I got accepted at the University of Sydney. So coming to Australia was actually my ever first time to be outside of the Middle East, my ever first time to live alone, my ever first time to actually just be on my own, figuring things out. So it was quite challenging. And even though I look smiling here, the first 3 months, I remember I was crying every day about like what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. However, what I really knew is that I don't want to give up. And it's okay to give up, that's not wrong. But before you make that decision to yourself, you have to actually give it a full shot. So I said, I'll give myself time. If I can do it, all good. If not, I can pack and just go back to where I was. So I give it actually a try. Now I'm lucky enough, I have been working on things. I'm supervising students. I'm talking to you. Actually, I got the Women in Technology Award, things that I have never, ever imagined that I will actually achieve. And I know there's a quote that says, be brave enough to travel. And like usually they tell you need to be brave. To me, I was really scared when I came. So I don't say you need to be brave. You just need to give yourself a shot. This is what I really want. Give it a try. You don't really know your capabilities and you don't know how much you can actually achieve. Because me personally, I am really surprised by the things that I got, by the work that I have put and the abilities that I discovered in myself. And I don't know if you have just a little bit time just to give you an idea about what I'm working on currently. So mainly is that the goal, or one of the things that we want to achieve actually, is that for you to be able, or anybody to be able to charge their devices without using wire. So imagine similar to Wi-Fi and wireless internet will have wireless energy. However, this idea to have it centralized and every device is charged is quite futuristic, because for energy to be traveling over a distance, it might be harmful for the health. So now an alternative solution that I'm actually working on is that maybe you can get a smaller amount from a closer distance from people nearby. So imagine you are sitting in a cafe, your phone is about to die, and there's somebody else on the next table who have extra energy that they are willing to give. So this is kind of an alternative way to charge your devices. This is quite also still challenging. It's not as easy as the picture looks, but we are working on it. I just have a picture of a prototype. This is actually a project that I'm working on with one of the honor students. I don't know if you can see much, but these are 2 coils here. And the distance that we achieved is 2 centimeters. So we're getting there. But the idea is just like, imagine that the energy, actually what happens now is the energy is coming from the device from the right side to the one on the left side, if you can see the charging. And we are using the coils. So this is actually just a cartoon. It's not connecting them. So they are disconnected over a distance. The last thing that I would love to leave you with is actually for all the females who are, whether you win or you don't, but if you are aiming to have a career, I think one of the most important things is to have mentorship, because one of the challenges that we have is not only that we don't have enough women representation, it's also that we don't have enough role models for us. Unlike, for example, males, it's very easy for them to come and talk because they have a lot of similar experiences, so they can share. Even if you have very supportive men, which I do have them in my life, and very supportive families and friends, usually they don't understand the perspective for us as women to work, for example, in STEM. What does it mean? And if you want to talk simply just about maternity leave and to take this gap year, how does it impact you? How do you get engaged? So I would really recommend that if you find a female who you look up to, who has similar, whether they have the similar beliefs or not, but just have the similar ambitions, the similar way to look at life, good, for example, ambition for themselves, and then ask them to mentor you. Because even for me now, sometimes coming from a different culture, from a different background, it's hard for me to explain everything that I have and to ask for an advice. So I have to figure it through different people. But I do believe that mentorship will save you a lot of time, will give you an experience and wisdom of other people, and it will make your path way, way easier compared to others. So look for mentorship, and this is where Zonta comes, and I'm very blessed to have that, because it's not usually, I have taken previous awards, and the thing is that usually a lot of people, when they give you a scholarship, they give you the scholarship, and this is where it ends. Good luck, best of luck, wish you the best. However, what I appreciate in Zonta is actually they still in contact, they are inviting me to share my experiences, so you get to be I get inspired by a lot of successful women when I see them. So it's a way, like it's a two ways around. You do inspire others and you get the inspiration for yourself. So please do that. I added my LinkedIn here just as a QR code in case you need to reach, or if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to be part of the discussion. Thank you. That's all. Let me stop the share.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
I love your story, Amani. I think that it is so inspirational, and it's at different levels. So, you know, even 20 years into my career, I see so much relevance in everything that you're saying, particularly stepping into taking risks, you know, being okay with the fear, even though there's this, you know, concept that you need to be able to be brave to make progress. Actually, you just need to take that first step and you need to try. And that's a huge part of it. And I have no doubt it really resonated with the students and all of our guests who are on the call today. That was amazing. And I wasn't sure about the timing. Did you want to take any questions, or would you prefer people follow up with you on LinkedIn?
I'm okay with questions. The only thing that I want to just add to that is that I think I read a while ago statistics that usually in terms of jobs, that usually for males, I think it was, if they believe that they are 50% quite good to the job, then they will apply. However, a female will not apply until it's 90% matching, which is, this is the issue that we have, is that we don't really believe in ourselves, and we don't see, like, because if you see a lot of people who are like you would say most probably subconsciously, you would say most probably I have a chance. Like I remember I had a friend who she is quite exceptionally smart, and I told her apply for the scholarship, and she said no, I cannot do it, I don't have enough. She did not, to another scholarship, she did not listen to me, and then she did not get it, and they got it for people who are less qualified because they did not have much options. Like even applying for scholarships is a challenge, which was a very new perspective for me. I could not believe. Usually myself, I am scared, so I understand where she's coming from. But that idea that we actually need to encourage women to consider themselves, to actually apply for such a thing. So confidence is something that we have, which is quite okay. The idea is that you don't need to be confident. That's all.
Thank you. Can I open it just to our students in particular first? Were there any questions that any of you wanted to ask briefly before we return to the presentation?
Okay, I just wanted to say, if no one's gonna ask, Amani, that was a really amazing story. And I feel like I connected with it a lot as well, because, you know, living by yourself, like when I moved away from my family in Bangladesh, like it was such a huge shock to the system. I guess what I want to say is, what do you feel like motivated you? Like, what do you feel like really got you through it and made you feel like more stronger and more empowered to go through that whole journey?
So to be fair, and I feel like we need to give this realistic assumption that everybody has like good days and bad days. Sometimes today I feel like, man, I want to go home. I don't want any of this. So sometimes it's still quite hard. However, you just have to believe that, first of all, you need to give it time. For me, I said, if I do a judgment on early on, and I was in the previous, someone who would say easily no. So just know leaving isn't the easy way out. Even actually, I remember even when applying to Zonta, I was like asking myself, I think there was I forgot the name of the director who had a lot of tremendous changes in her life within a year. And I remember I looked at that interview and the person asked them, what made you change? So she said that I usually say no to things. To myself, I give myself the permission to have a year of saying yes to chances and opportunities. So say yes, and then I'll figure out if I don't like it, I don't owe anybody anything, I'm leaving. So that's what I actually did. For me, the big change was, I don't think I even complained to my parents because I didn't want them to be worried. I was that kind of worried about my parents from that perspective. But to me was giving up is not an option. I need to give it a fair time. And by time, things got easier. Sometimes still you have your hard days, but I think time was, and of course, friends that you talk to, that helps a lot. Yeah.
Thank you.
No.
Would anyone else like to jump in with a question?
Going to be a question, but I just wanted to acknowledge about Amani, the fact that she is such a resilient woman. I know there are many times in our lives where we're like, we consider it a failure or we want to give up at some point, but you realize there are women or just people like Amani out there that haven't stopped and are still going, and it gives you that little push to keep going. So I just wanted to say thank you for bringing Amani on this call and allowing us to hear her story, actually.
Wonderful. Thanks, Emaan. It's beautiful. Did anyone in the club or any guests want to ask a question before we move on?
I did have my hand up, but my question was answered, because one of the things that some of the Zonta clubs do is mentor. At the moment, they're mentoring some of the girls that have come over from Afghanistan, refugees, and just, you know, that feeling of missing their families so much, I suppose, it's time, isn't it? It's just knowing that you're being brave, that it's time that is going to get you through.
Yes, yeah. I do have to acknowledge that, like, coming from Afghanistan is quite challenging, because I came from Dubai. There's some kind of diversity, like it did not, like language. Yeah, when I moved from a public school to the university, I had to learn English, and then when I actually started teaching, I needed to really master English in order for people to because you teach everybody different backgrounds. We have a diversity in the UAE. However, there it's also, I think for them, it's even quite harder because it's a completely different culture. I was also scared a little bit because people told me like Australia is kind of not really welcoming of Muslims. I had this misconception. So I remember early on when I came, I was like kind of getting out of the hotel and scared. And then I realized that nobody really cared what I'm doing with myself. And that gave me comfort. That gave me comfort to actually quite adjust. Yeah.
Wonderful stories. Well, thank you very much, Amani. Really appreciate it. It was just such a beautiful talk. I mean, it's very inspiring.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Okay, I will put up the share where we left off. And sorry, it's terribly losing my voice this morning. In just a moment, I will present our finalists in our 2022 Women in Engineering Awards. And I just wanted to first thank Dr. Carolyn Evans, who wasn't able to join this morning, but thank her for her involvement in judging this year's shortlisted group of candidates with me. And of course, thank you to all the students who applied. And then again, I just wanted to congratulate the UTS team and the Women in Engineering and IT program there as the longest running program of its kind in Australia. They launched in 1981 when women accounted for less than 2% of the engineering enrollments at NSWIT, as it was then known before it became UTS. The program aimed to ensure that female students knew of the wide range of career opportunities open to women in professional engineering qualifications. So I want to congratulate 𝘊𝗟𝗂, who's on the call this morning, and Dr. Eva Chang, as well as Louisa Long from UTS for continuing these very important efforts. Now, each of these women have demonstrated outstanding academic performance, and all of their efforts have personified what we stand for with Zonta. It's my pleasure to introduce them now, and I believe everyone has their cameras off, but as I've got the presentation on my screen, just maybe give a wave. Unfortunately, we can't have you stand in a virtual meeting, so feel free to give yourself a little wave to everybody. First, Jacqueline Cowdery, who's completing a Bachelor of Engineering Honors, a diploma in professional engineering practice with a major in civil engineering. Jasmine Pye, who's completing a Bachelor of Engineering Honors and a Bachelor of Medical Science with a major in biomedical. Emaan Gohar, who's completing a Bachelor of Engineering Honors and a Bachelor of Medical Science with a major in software engineering. And Kashish Agarwal, who's completing a Bachelor in Computing Science Honors with a major in data analytics and artificial intelligence. Rubab Rahman, who's completing a Bachelor of Information Technology with a major in interaction design and 𝗂𝗵𝗺, who's completing a Bachelor of Engineering honors and a diploma in professional engineering practice with a major in software engineering. Congratulations to all of you for being finalists in this year's award. Each of you demonstrate incredible talent. We were so impressed by your goals for the future and the positive impact that you have already had on the status and opportunities for women. I have to say, and Carolyn felt the same, it was really an honor to have women of such high caliber apply and be involved in this year's award. So thank you very much. I want to let you know that first I will be announcing our 2022 runner-up, and then I will announce our 2022 award winner. So if I could ask everyone to momentarily unmute just for a brief applause. Again, I will first announce our runner-up. So congratulations to Rubab Rahman for being our 2022 Women in Engineering and IT runner-up.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Well done, Rubab. We appreciate all of the, if you will, extracurricular efforts that you put in towards advocacy and support for women. So thank you. And just while everyone's there, not on mute, it's my distinct honor to announce our 2022 Women in Engineering Award recipient. And that is Emaan Gohar. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Emaan.
Thank you so much for all of the efforts that you've made. And Carolyn and I really appreciate some of the original ideas that you brought to the table in your interview. So Emaan, while everyone turns themselves back to mute, I'll stop sharing the slides for a moment to give you a chance to say a few words of thanks. And if you can, share some of your experiences and vision for the future. And just give me one moment while I click stop share. Over to you, Emaan, and congratulations again.
Thank you, 𝗂𝗵𝗿. I'm glad this is virtual because if it was in person, my hands would be shaking right now. But I just wanted to say a really huge thank you to everyone on this call. And I think before hitting off with the details I'm going to say, I think it's just fair if Amani can share her story. I think we all can share our stories on this call. And I would want to kick off with my story, just so I can inspire or maybe possibly touch anyone for the day or for the days coming. This isn't a story that I don't really tell many people, but I would love for all to hear this. A couple of years ago, I think every single year, the past few years during this time, I've considered myself a failure. And today or this year, I would say is probably the first year where I did not recognize myself as a failure. And the past few years, I've changed multiple courses just because of the thought that I was just a failure. And I kept running away from these thoughts. And I was changing courses many times within just STEM and just being a female in general. And coming from a culturally diverse and being a Muslim wearing a hijab, it just becomes so hard to fit in any situation, either it be in school, in university, or in the workplace. Now I'm finding a lot more harder in the workplace. So I completely agree as to why we don't have that. We have that low rate and the retention levels aren't really that high. When I left high school, in my cultural background, the first thought that comes to girls like ourselves is we need to get married. And that's a really hard thing to come over. And going into a STEM course is just a dream that you can't even touch. So I come from a family with lots of females, and I've got an older sister, and I wanted to thank my older sister and call her out, 𝗂𝗵𝗺 Gohar. She's also studying engineering here. And if it wasn't for her and her holding my hand and supporting me and pushing me and my sisters in our family, I don't think I would be in this school with everyone. And coming into engineering after 2-3 courses was still a dream that I never think I would come into. And this is probably the reason why I'm so bloody damn passionate on motivating females like myself and coming into STEM, doing engineering. Look at Amani. I feel like us women form literally 50% of the world's population. And if we're being ignored, then we're not really going to get anywhere in terms of all the successes and all the innovations that we're going to create. So I just want to thank 𝗂𝗵𝗺, the Women in Engineering and IT community at UTS for making it very comforting and just being part of this engineering community, and also for Zonta. And Zonta, I would like to thank you all for liaising with UTS in general. And You don't know how much it means for students or females like myself. I know all the finalists and the runner-ups in this call. I've seen the work you've done. I'm sitting on the sidelines, seeing everything you're doing. We're all just as great. And as females, I feel like we are the ones that are going to conquer the world. And I think there's just so much to do, just so much to do. I think we just need to act in our speech. Currently, we're looking at the skills shortages that's happening in the news. The Premier is talking about it. A lot of people are saying we need more culturally diverse immigrant people, and they're being ignored. They're not coming in. They don't know about engineering and STEM. And it's just all about encouraging and empowering. And I was looking at the slides. I said empowering for advocacy and service. And I think that's all we're going to do. So I just wanted, and I think everyone on this call has to have the chance to talk about this. So I just wanted to thanks to Zonta and Women Engineering at UTS. And yeah, I feel completely humbled and I'm still shaking, but yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Tumri, I think you're on mute. I can't hear you.
Very good. Thank you. I would like to see, if possible, if we could get cameras on for a minute. This is our version of a group photo. We'll take a screenshot. If anyone's not comfortable with this being shared, please just let me know. It's only going to go to people who follow the club, friends of the club, and other Zontans. But love to take a quick photo. Thanks, Edwina. If you're there, Maria. Ready? Oh, thanks. Okay, ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Lovely. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, everybody. So along with our Zonta Club of Sydney Breakfast members, and on behalf of them and UTS, thank you so much to all of the students, our guests, and Amani for joining us this morning. It was wonderful to hear from Amani as well as Emaan, and certainly start our days with an incredibly big dose of inspiration. Carolyn and I have such a wonderful time being able to hear from each student, and I mean that quite genuinely. Each of you has so much to offer and actually is already making that contribution. And with that in mind, if there's anything I can do in terms of giving you any feedback off of the interviews or anything in terms of connecting you in with other Zontans, please do reach out. I believe all of you have my personal email address. I'm always happy to support each of you in your ambitions and the work that you're doing to the extent that I can. I just wanted to say that all of the finalists, you're welcome to stay in touch in a couple of different ways, either through the club. We have a Friends of the Club list that gets invitations to our events. You're welcome to follow us on LinkedIn, or of course our website, zontasydneybreakfast.org. And on that, I'll just make a farewell and closing comments. There's plenty in the chat, so I know everyone's sending in well wishes and congratulations, which is lovely. We're ending a little early, so I'm happy to keep the line open if anyone else would like to say anything else. But again, thank you so much, and congratulations to all of our finalists.
Temre, I think we should also just make sure that we send the link to the Women in Technology Scholarship Zonta International information to Amani's point. Everybody should keep their minds open to applying for scholarships, at all levels, because that one is available, and it's worth people diving into that to understand what the selection criteria are and the application, etc. So we might just share that after the meeting.
Definitely can do that.
Emre, if I can add something, first of all, it's amazing to know that we have this long-term partnership for 20 years, and thank you so much to Zonta for supporting our students, but also for making this more visible and bring these messages to more people. I have to say that I was completely moved when we had the interviews. It was so amazing to see all the things that you're doing. I was deeply moved by your speech, Emaan. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think that one of the things that we were thinking with the panel was leadership is not something that is always formal, that is always visible, that it's just one person on the top. Leadership is something that you do every day. And I think that those kind of leaderships and kind leadership is something that we need to start acknowledging so that we can actually change things. So
thank you very much to all the finalists to bringing that thought to us and for inspiring. Thank you. That's so nice. Thank you, Lucia. Wonderful. Okay, and I believe the link has just actually been popped in there, which is great. I can also send that to everyone in email, but if you want, just have a look there. And you're most welcome to look into that and apply. All right, well, on that note, I do hope everyone has a really wonderful morning and look forward to being in touch through Zonta or UTS in the future. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Can I add one last thing? Can I add? Yeah, sure. So just because you mentioned the Zonta scholarship, the only thing I have to say is that for people, like I'm assuming all the finalists are going to apply if they want to, but seek people who got the scholarship and ask them for advice, because sometimes what I found is that quite excellent women don't know how to present themselves. And even if you are exceptional, if you don't know how to present yourself, people will not know. So seek advice and ask people how did they do it, and get an idea and then do it. And hopefully all of you will get it. This year we had 3 people from Australia, so we want the number to go up next, hopefully. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic advice. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
All good.
Great advice. Wonderful. All right. Have a lovely morning, everyone. Cheers. Bye.